Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight we have a good one here, being brought to you by Turn 3 Racing Network. I'm Brett the Jet in the booth here, and tonight we have the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series at the big bad Talladega. That is right, folks. We head to the biggest track on the schedule for playoff race number 2. And I tell you what, this is the one that people either have circled or crossed out, because anything could happen when it comes to these super speedways. The pack will be bunched up very tight. Looks like we have 13 cars taking a lap here in practice. Right now, Johnny Barker in that number 6 machine sits at the top, but you know, all these times were done in a pack. You just got to wonder, how fast are these cars by themselves? Well, we'll find out here in about 20 seconds as practice gets wrapped on up. But this is one of, I would say, about 2 wild card races in these playoffs. I would say you have here and then next week when they go to Watkins Glen. Both of those can be some wild card races, shake up these standings. And speaking about those standings, here's how they look after week number 1. John Ross sitting atop the points with 753. Then 6 points back, we have sitting in second place, that is Kenny Reel. Steve Ritter sits in third with 745. Fourth is Brandon Guerin with 739, and then rounding out the top 5 is AJ Cawthon with 738. So points really start to tighten up there, but remember, top 15, so it goes all the way down to Dalton Powell with 726. So 726 to that 753 number, of course, separates these points, with all of them being in the playoffs. So still around 26 point swing. So anything can happen with the first start of these playoffs, with these opening rounds, with the uncertainty. I tell you what, as we take a look here, we're going to look, I believe, at one of these drivers here around that top 5, sitting P number 5 in points. It's the 25 machine, AJ Cawthon. We'll wait for Cawthon, see what kind of lap he can do. But right now, running the top side, trying to get that Bud Beer 25 machine up to speed. AJ Cawthon calling Rochester Hills, Michigan home. He will drive it on down to the bottom side. So again, that thing wound up on his outlap. Now with the clock ticking, he will try and run as close as he can to that inside yellow line. Try and be as smooth as possible on this wheel. Try and scrub as little speed, because especially at these super speedways with every driver with the same setup underneath them, it really just all comes down to that wheel input and how smooth you can be with these cars. Barker first one to the line with a 54.16. Brandon Guerin with the best so far, a 53.58. AJ Cawthon just behind him with a 53.59, and times continuing to drop. Now Steve Ritter sits at the top of the charts with a 53.48. That seems like a good chunk of drivers here taking a lap. Not quite half the field just yet taking a lap, but everyone out on track. Everyone looks like trying to get at least one good lap, as we see another take a time. I'd have to guess that 62 machine probably running the top that first lap with a 57 compared to everyone in the 54s or 53s, as Barker completes lap number 2, jumps him up to P number 3. Here in the 25 machine, Cawthon does not improve. He ran a 53.63. As so far, Steve Ritter's still at the top. Now we take a look at the guy leading the points here. It is the 44 machine of John Ross. Ross lap number 1 at 53.62. Good enough for P number 11. But he is going to have to try and find about a tenth and a half to start near the front row with Steve Ritter. Nick Larson with a great lap. Same with Dave Farella. Those two sit 2 and 3 at the time. And look at this, Jeff Barefoot, a great lap from the number 9 machine. He sits P4. And then Rob Lowell rounds out the top 5. So as Ross will pass the stripe for the second and final time and jump all the way up to P number 3. Ross finds some speed and will put it in the top 5. So great second lap from the 44 machine, and that would do it. Steve Ritter looking for a good run. He looked good there in qualifying and walking away tonight with the BG Graphics Pole Award. That is right, going to the driver of the 16 machine. That is, of course, Steve Ritter getting the job done here. So Ritter walking away with that, as now we get ready for a good one here, folks. 75 laps the distance here, as we will head down trackside and go over tonight's starting grid here for the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Let's see who's starting where, as leading the field to green with the BG Graphics Pole Award, it is the 16 machine of Steve Ritter. To his outside will be the 82 of Nick Larson. Row number 2 will make up the falling. John Ross in that 44 Ford Mustang rolling off P number 3, with Dave Farella in our first Chevy Camaro rolling off P number 4. Then rounding out the top 5 will be the 9 machine of Jeff Barefoot. 6th place will be Kenny Reel in the 24. 7th going to Rob Lowell in the 21. Leroy Cobblenetz in the 43 machine will round out P number 8. Then starting back in P number 9 will be Frank Zingen in the 62. Reba Kenton in the number 30 machine will round out the top 10, as we now look a little bit further back in the pack. Starting in P number 11 was quick in practice. He will see if he can push his way to the front. That is the number 6 machine of Johnny Barker. To his outside, the 13th, starting in 12th, is Jason Wiley. Then 13th goes to the 47 machine of Joseph Cavalli. 14th is Brandon Guerin in the number 4. AJ Coffin in that 25. Bud machine will roll off 15th, and 16th going to Nate Coletta in the number 5. 17th going to the 51 machine of Dalton Powell. And then starting shotgun on the field here tonight will be the 18th, rolling off 18th, will be the 31 machine of Christian Delgado. Folks, I am pumped up for this thing. We get the field rolling here. Lights, of course, extinguished on the iRace and Pace car. And that means we are going green flag racing here tonight. So front row will have the 16 leading the way to the green flag. He will be the control car. To his outside, the 82 of Nick Larson. Larson, of course, one of those heartbreak stories, just missing out on the playoffs. And then round number one had a good night, ran all day up inside the top 10. And then here, round number two, starting on the front row. So as we get ready to go green flag racing here, folks, of course, the iRacing pace car will duck down on pit road. Then we have a long way around till the restart zone. As, don't forget, folks, the start finish line a little bit later than Daytona. That will come into effect with these finishes here at Talladega. But first, we got to kick this thing off. Here we go. Green flag racing for race number 2 of the 802 iRacing Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series. The field dives down into turn number 1 here. Ritter with the advantage, getting the push from Ross. Larson already dropping back to about row number 4 from that inside lane. But now they seemed a lot better formed up top. We'll see if they can make up that ground they lost a little bit here. But if I had to guess, folks, especially being in the playoffs with a long race like tonight's 75 laps the distance, I have a feeling we'll see guys kind of settle on in, ride on around for the most part, and, you know, not make any sort of crazy moves until the second half of this race. At least get through one round of green flag pit stops, because that's going to be very tough, as we see cars already jumping to the middle, to the top here, trying to throw some blocks. Yeah, Ritter down in the sucker hole. He will continue to fall back, see if anyone picks him up. It looks like, yes, Kenny Real will in that 24 machine. So Jeff Barefoot in the number 9 now leading the way. He's got the Riptide Radio number 9. Speaking about Riptide Radio, the sounds of the salt, sand, and sea broadcast from Ocean Drive, South Carolina, free for download on the Best Carolina Beach and Boogie Music. That is, of course, Riptide Radio, as Barefoot looks to lead his first laps definitely in these playoffs, as it looks like not quite as Ross will lead this lap. So John Ross, our points leader here, out here getting some more bonus points with leading a lap. So yeah, now this inside lane seems formed up. About 4 cars make that 3, as now Barker goes to the middle. He may have some help from Ritter as Barefoot tries to go to the top side. No, Barefoot will get blocked by the 6 as Barker goes all the way up to the top. 1 car in the wall back here. Looks like maybe the number 43 machine of Calmanet's. Yeah, he definitely has a little bit of damage. So a lot going on here already, folks, and it's only going to get crazier as lap number 3 is complete. Big block again, a little too late for Varela, as Varela will be stuck in the middle of 3 wide, drop onto the back. So these guys, I guess I was maybe wrong here, folks. It looks like these guys, all of them fighting to get to the front at any means possible, as Ross continued to just say, hopefully we just continue to stay clean and green here, as he's getting help from that 62 machine. Those two seem to be working really well together, so we'll maybe have to keep an eye on this alliance, or maybe other guys are taking notes, say, man, if we can work with the 62 machine, he might be a good one. As further on back, it looks like some lines starting to form up again here, as we see the back of the 16 machine move on up to the top side. This allows Jason Wiley, who we're riding on board with, have to kind of choose some lanes. Then the inside lane dropped on out from underneath him, so he would drop all the way to the bottom, get some draft. But yeah, this top side line kind of on their own. They're going to have to make up a lot of momentum, not only to make a move, but to stay with this pack. Looks like they will stay on up there. Front about 5 here. All running the inside, them behind. Top lane starting to get some move. Here comes Ritter, but will be forced all the way up the track. He will lose some momentum. I tell you what, folks, you'll be hearing me use the word momentum a lot here tonight, as it's not so much the runs or the draft, but you got to kind of work these cars up to speed for a little bit, and then finally try and time just a little move to be made and just kind of force more people with you. And since these things don't really overheat, runs aren't as common. It's a little bit more energy, let's say, in certain lanes that help these things move on forwards. And right now, top lane does not have it, so we'll see probably most everyone ride on around. Here we go, folks. Battle for the race lead here as Jeff Barefoot and Johnny Barker working very well together. They are now up to the lead, and Barker will lead the first laps of the day. So the number 6 machine got that thing rocking and rolling with Steve Ritter there, and now Ritter leads the inside lane a little bit behind as Barker has a momentum on the top. We'll see if this will change as two cars get together further on back. Jason Wiley and I believe the number 30 machine involved here as we see our first yellow flag of the night. We will take a look here, see what brought out the first yellow. It's coming off turn number 2. Looks like the 30 machine just moved down enough and just clipped the right rear and sends them both into the outside wall. Luckily, they will have some repairs that can be completed on pits. They should be able to get back out here and continue to race, but tough break for both these guys as they go to the back, as this may change around some strategy as we get our first yellow here on lap 9. As we will come back here after pit road, but first we will go to commercial break. We will be right back here as we are under our first yellow flag for a 2-car incident here tonight. Alrighty, folks, we are back here on pit road at Talladega as we see the whole field come on down. They will get ready to slap on 4 fresh Goodyear tires filled up with the Sunoco race fuel. Maybe get a little boogie on to some Riptide Radio for a second as they get a moment to breathe, but a very quick pit stop from the number 6. In and out, fuel only for Johnny Barker. He will win the race off of pit road, so not listening to too much radio. It looks like Steve Ritter doing about the same. I believe the first 2 tire stop may have come with the 62 machine rolling off in P number 8. So a lot of strategy here, but a good amount of gas and go stops only. As with this yellow, I may try and talk to the guy winning the race off of pit road. We saw him hustle out to the front here in the last couple laps. Maybe see what he's learning. We'll see if we can catch a word with Johnny Barker. Johnny, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Gotcha.
Alrighty, man. How are these cars feeling here tonight? We saw a great kind of power surge from you guys on the top lane there. You took command of this thing up until this first yellow. How's the car feeling, and what are you learning out here tonight?
Car feels good. I definitely think that outside line is a little better right now.
Yeah, it does seem that way, that it takes a minute for them, to kind of get up to song, let's say. But once you do, it seems like a lot of cars feeling pretty comfortable and pretty fast up in that second groove.
Oh yeah, it was definitely fast up there when having all my teammates behind me. So of course that helped.
That it does. And speaking about those teammates, a lot of teams working together here tonight. I mean, how much does that help coming into a race like this where, so much is up to chance?
Oh, it's everything. I think if you without your teammates up here, you you in trouble.
Yeah, I would agree, Johnny. Well, before I let you go, I'm sure I'll let you get a chance to shout out those teammates you're working with here tonight, as well as maybe anyone else tuning on in here live, and let you get back to talking strategy.
Oh yeah, teammates Rob and Jeff and Nick and Dave. He couldn't make it tonight, but us four, we're gonna work good tonight.
Alrighty, Johnny. Well, best of luck to you in this number 6 machine, and we'll hopefully be talking to you after this.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, folks. That was Johnny Barker in the number 6 machine saying, teammates, it's where it's at here tonight. A lot of teams, of course, running together here that make up this field. Of course, we have the team that we were just talking about there, Wolfpack Racing. Then, of course, we have Piston Broke Motorsports, Wildman Racing, and Highline Motorsports. So if I see some teams start working together, I'll give a shout out of who's on their team. But you heard from Johnny there, those guys in Wolfpack working pretty well together as one of their drivers leading the field to green here on the first restart of the night. The iRacing pace car makes the hard left-hand turn down pit road. Now the restart falls in the hands of Johnny Barker. Talladega is always a kind of weird spot to restart at, folks. That is because you got to time it right with the guy behind you. And if you don't have direct communication with them, it's kind of a guessing game, and they're going off your reaction. Same with second. So, you can start getting these gaps like this. Luckily, that stayed pretty close together, but looks like Steve Ritter and Jeff Barefoot on the top side staying together even better. So these cars get up to song as they head down the Talladega super stretch, the long backstretch. Of course, this track, longest on the schedule of the ovals, a whopping 2.67 miles makes up the distance of Talladega Super Speedway. A long distance, but still running under a minute time. That's because these cars upwards of 190 miles an hour, some even clipping into the 200s, as we see Steve Ritter with that run on the high side. It looks like won't be enough. Barker just gets him at the line to lead that lap, but both of these drivers already lead laps here tonight. They're fighting right now for the most laps led, as each of them have a handful now. One car pulling chutes, drop into the back saying, hey, it's getting a little crazy. That's a 25 machine of AJ Cawthon, Dave Farella, Jason Wiley already in that second group saying, hey, we're betting at least one more big one. One big one some point coming here. So we're going to go run further on back as this first pack makes up about 14 or so of the 18 drivers that have taken the green flag here tonight. So we have completed 13 laps already, lap 14 working on right now, coming up to halfway done as they head down the backstretch once again. And I tell you what, folks, it is tough. You look at the legs. Let's jump on board, see what the front bumper of the back of the top row looks like here as we drive on board. This is the 5 machine of Nate Coletta. You can just see how chaotic, how you really got to be super reactive back here because things can happen fast. As you see him kind of losing the draft on the top side. No, he wants to get on the bottom as quick as possible, so drops all the way to P number 14, right behind the 31 machine of Delgado, who we're now looking at the tail bumper of. As you see here now, kind of building up some momentum. He's in the draft now. Delgado has a big run, and look at this by Coletta. This should allow him to slingshot all the way up to the back bumper of the 51. Is wow, look at this roller coaster ride here as Coletta goes from the last car in the pack here in about half a lap. He goes all the way up almost in the top 5 as wow. I don't know if Coletta's got the live stream going and saw we were riding on board with him, but he just put on a show for all of us here. And I tell you what, that was pretty awesome to watch there riding on board. Just that speed difference and how out of sorts this pack can get. You saw the inside lane have to check up big time. Now Coletta pushing the back bumper of the 51. These two first cars now on the top side as they may need some help here as the momentum definitely down on the bottom side. You see the amount of cars and how fast they're going by. So that was some pretty cool stuff. Of course, Ryan on board with that number 5 machine here. As you can see now, everyone down on that inside lane except for those two. I think Coletta and the 51 of Powell may be going to the back, as no, we got some takers further on in the back. We got Calvinets and John Ross, maybe some more out in front, as now we see Rob Lowell lead the push to the top side. So now the GStone 21 machine, that red and black Ford Mustang outside leading the way here. Of course, Brandon Guerin now in front in that number 4 machine. So wow, look at this momentum these guys carrying on this inside lane. Those guys all pretty much working together there on the top, just losing time to these 4. As yeah, it doesn't seem like they had enough momentum, let's say, as they fall back in line and maybe try and get another run. But wow, this is some interesting work here. It's these 4 working together seems like a really strong pairing, as Guerin has Real right on his back bumper, not really looking to go anywhere and working very well together. And that 62 machine right there as well. I think maybe the 62 and 24 may be some of the best cars out here tonight. I remember Kenny saying he was really looking forward to Talladega, and right now maybe showing us why. Is those guys, I mean, this 4 have not got past in a couple laps here. Everyone's been trying but have not quite put it all together yet. Now we see the number 6 machine of Johnny Barker. He will slide back to this pack, so the six may have got a little hot there or something, had to fall further on back. Now we see the 51 machine of Powell jump to the outside here. And this third pack will all go high as well. So Cobblenets leads this third pack here, trying to overtake the second pack. Second pack being led by the 51 machine of Don Powell. That is P number 7. So these guys may have to work together as that front pack now got a little bit stronger. Now have 6 cars to it. Rob Lowell and Jeff Barefoot were able to tag along. And we see almost 3 wide there as they try and sort themselves out further back in the pack here. As we take a look at our race leader, it's the 4 machine Brandon Guerin. He has been out front for a little bit now, and he is trying to make things work. And so far doing a good job at it. Either has a good friend behind him. I'm gonna go take a look here, look at the team's list and try and see if these guys are in fact working together. And that they definitely are, as this whole team right here, top 4 working together. That's Piston Broke Motorsports. So these guys working very, very well together, making it very tough for anyone to get around. Laps here in the books as Brandon Guerin continues to lead the way. Everyone's still trying to get sorted, but then now everyone pretty much in one pack here as that second pack caught. So then it leaves just these guys back here in this for sure second pack. That's Dave Farella, Jason Wiley, and AJ Cawthon, all of them banking on another yellow. And then Ariba Ken all by himself, so Ken in danger of going a lap down here as we see the leaders catching him very, very quickly here. And we'll probably have to deal with him here on the backstretch, if not 1 and 2. So first car trying to make this high line work is the 44 of John Ross. He will try and get around. Looks like he will, so the 30 will stay up and out of the way as we continue to try and stay green flag racing. As yeah, now Leroy Cobblenets will jump up to the high side. Already a third of the way down here tonight as Brandon Guerin continues to lead on this bottom lane. These four have not left that lane and have made it work pretty good. Leroy Cabinets continues to try and make the high side work as they kind of get a piece of the wall there heading into turn number 3. They will get a run on the number 9 of Barefoot here. As yeah, once it gets to those next 4 cars, you know, it seems like that second lane kind of can stall on out. So last car in this package is 31 Machina Delgado. Then here in 10th, Rob Rowell missing out, let's say, on this first pack. He has dropped back with Johnny Barker and Nick Larson. So these guys now in pack number 2. Pack number 1 continues to get dicey here as these guys still try and make a run on the top side, but once again, still stuck side by side with this number 9 of Jeff Barefoot. So Guerin continued to lead the way here. I believe if he hasn't already, he has come very close to the most laps led here as Guerin has pretty much taken the lead for the last 10 laps. Now under fire as a high side finally broke on through. Cabinets now out in front. So Cabinets getting pushed by John Ross. Then Joseph Gergala and Christian Delgado all able to get clear, so make that our next group is, we'll double check, but yep, all those guys part of Wild Man Racing now out in front and leading the points. So it is Leroy Cabinets with the Wild Man Racing out in front here. So these two working pretty aggressively here at the front of the field as Ross right on the back bumper of Cabinets. Let's ride on board with our race leader. Looking back at the long snake of cars, that goes all the way back to P number 9 to car number 9. Yeah, that's the orange and blue Riptide Radio machine all the way back there, P number 9. Everyone right now running single file, running this inside lane, is waiting to make their move here as we approach the halfway point. So best lap from the 43 machine of 49.13. Last time by was a 50.29, one of the better times. So it all depends how much draft you're getting, and when you can get it right, break through those bubbles, you are absolutely hauling the mail, as these two kind of pulling away from the pack should have a really solid lap there. A little bit better at 50.72, so pretty good laps from these leaders here as they break away from that 47 machine just a little bit. See the gap to the front too here as we ride on board, looking forward to the 47 machine. I bet there is some fuel saving going on, trying to split this race in half. With them getting a yellow at lap 10, they will try and shoot for about lap 45 if they want to split in half, which I believe they should be able to do. 70% fuel in these cars, and I believe 3 sets of tires over the wall. I will double check that just to be sure. As yep, 3 sets of tires over the wall. And something to keep in mind here, folks, 2 attempts at a green-white checkered if it comes down to that. We've seen some super speedways in the past go down 2 green-white checkers. We'll have to see if one happens here. As we see now, once again, the Wolfpack Racing guys work together. They will jump to the high side on... Oh, excuse me, it was the Piston Broke guys making the move, but also Wolfpack Racing, and they're trying to go even higher than them, as it is a jumble of cars here as we approach the halfway point. As the 47 of Gravala almost goes around off the nose of the 21 machine of Lowell. Now Gravala is still trying to force his way down in front of the 16 machine of Ritter. So Gravala will get spit out towards the back here. It looks like that will separate him from his teammates. So now his teammate's going to be only working with 3, while 2 other teams working with 4 here. We'll have to see if they can play their numbers right, or what is the game plan. As you see some pretty intense racing from the drop of the green flag, but everyone keeping it green. This is some awesome racing here tonight. As we see the outside get as much side draft as they can, kind of slow down those cars to the inside, and doing just that as they draw side by side. So down the backstretch they will come. Of course, out in front, leading the way is Leroy Cobblenets, then John Ross Delgado, and then kind of side by side for those next 2 teams. Lowell leading the top side, Guerin leading the inside lane, but these 2 kind of running the same because they're both side by side, 4x4. Outside lane looks like it's losing a little bit of speed. Yes, it does. So they will probably drop on back, see what they can work together with, kind of regain, regroup, reconvene, and try and come at it once again here at a different time. Or maybe it's getting time for those pit road stops, as you don't want to get stuck in that outside lane when it's time to pit and have to either make a crazy move or have to go around another lap and not pit with the people you want to pit with. Is always a recipe for a disaster. And yeah, that's the other thing too here, folks. These teams gonna probably try to work together to come down pit road, because the more cars you can come, if you can be part of the 8 rather than the 4, you will definitely walk away with your own pack and maybe even leave the other 4 out to dry. So everyone, once again, single file here at Talladega here tonight. I tell you what, so far some great racing we've seen through the field, as we see pit stops taking place under the green flag. Rob Lowell, Johnny Barker, Nick Larson, and Jeff Barefoot all safe coming on down right at the halfway point. I believe they'll make it to the end. So these drivers all splitting it right down the middle. If I had to guess, we will just see fuel go into these cars as we see him safely in the box. And yep, just fuel and go. As now when does the rest of the field come on down? If I had to guess, I would say the 4 of Guerin not coming down this time as he looks to try and go back to the point on the high side as his teammates, and yes they do. And look at this, these 4 coming on down. Colbinets, John Ross, Christian Delgado, and Joseph Gravala all safely down on pit road. That leaves the final 4. So all of them splitting on up, let's say, and pin at different times. So we'll have to see how that all shakes on out, how they got off the pit road. Because Rob Lowell and Johnny Barker both got off similar. Nick Larson about a second back, and about 2 seconds back from them, Jeff Barefoot. So Barefoot's going to have to make some ground up just a little bit to catch the back here. As if I had to guess, we'll see the next front 4 come on down pit road. Kenny Rear really brave on the brakes. Same with Frank Zingen, as Zingen gets it woed up in time. So he made up a ton of time on pit road, showing his teammates how to get down on pit road. As of course it was Real Ritter, Guerin, and Zingen all down on pit road. So these guys got on pit road very, very well and very coordinated. John Ross leading the way, Delgado, Gravala, and Colbinets all together synced up off the pit road. By far the best pit stop group here tonight, and they made up a ton of time. Looks like Lowell and Barker about 5 seconds back from them. So we'll have to see here as Zingen up to speed. Let's ride on board with John Ross, seeing him get by the 16 of Ritter and Guerin. As we ride on board, John Ross already up to song. Frank Zingen and Kenny Reel out in front, just rolling off the pit road. As speed difference right about now, about a 10-mile-per-hour gap. Those guys to the left about up to 180. These guys up to 190. You can see just equaling out, so pretty even pit stops as we see John Ross lead that lap here tonight. So John Ross back out in front, led only a few laps at the beginning, but that 44 machine back out looking strong here. And John Ross, of course, coming into tonight with the points lead here in the playoffs. Would love another great finish to continue those good runs and try and build a cushion when it comes to those points. With those green flag pit stops, we are now over halfway through tonight's race. That's right, folks. Halfway down, already gonna be less than halfway to go as John Ross cycles out with the race lead. Christian Delgado, P number 2. Joseph Barala sitting P number 3. Fourth going to the 43 of Leroy Colbinets. And Frank Zingen rounding out the top 5 here. And so pack number 1 being made up of Wildman Racing, all 4 of their drivers. Then half of Piston Broke with the 62 and the 24 machine. The 4 and the 13 stuck a little bit further back. Sorry, the 4 and the 16. That being Steve Ritter and Brandon Guerin, as you see Rob Lowell and Johnny Barker join them. So a little mismatched teamwork, but they're going to have to work together because top 6 all about 7 seconds ahead of these guys. So they're going to need as many cars as they can get, including the lap down car, that being the 30 back there. Should help these guys be able to catch the next group. But I tell you what, a long distance to travel. They're going to have to hope they don't sort themselves out, as we see John Ross fall on back in this first group. So this will put Delgado leading the point here. So now, new race leader Frank Zingen in the 62 machine out there in front. Kenny Reed on his back bumper stayed there the whole time, able to bring now that 2-car piston broke team out to the lead here. As these guys got to be smart of how they're racing. That is because they don't want to spend too much time battling amongst each other and give this second group, being led by Steve Ritter, a chance to catch them. But these guys in pack number 2 thinking the complete opposite, hoping those leaders, either make a mistake, make a yellow, or start battling out with each other, and they continue to work together better, as they've made up about half a second already, so they are making up some time. Then further on back, Nick Larson sadly stuck by himself. Same with the 9 of Jeff Barefoot. Dave Farella has some friends. He has Dalton Powell, Nate Catola, AJ Cawthon, and Jason Wiley. So these guys' final cars on the lead lap, about a quarter track back, as maybe let's take a look at a track map, see where everyone is relative to each other. Track map at the right side of your screen. So looking at our race leader, Frank Zingen, in the 62, and you can see where the other cars are out on track after those first set of green flag pit stops. So it can show you, some extra time on pit road, or some sort of mistake, or you just simply fall out of the draft. I mean, you can lose a ton of time around this place being stuck by yourself. Delgado taking a little peek to the inside of the 24s. Real kind of left it on open. Those two, of course, not talking together, part of different teams, and that's always a tough part of Talladega. You want to be able to let the car behind you see that inside lane, let's say. You want to run a little bit higher up so they can see where that line is, so they're not as aggressive on the wheel, reacting to the corner instead of trying to predict it. "46 laps now complete." Now on lap number 47, approaching the 2/3 marks of tonight's race, and so far only that one yellow flag here tonight involving the 13 and that number 30 machine, as it looks like everyone now in a group, as Steve Ritter continues to bring the second group just a little bit closer, as now within closing the gap in 5.5 seconds back to that last car. This final pack picking up 2 more drivers. That would be the number 9 and the 82. Both of them tagging along in this pack, but they have to make up a lot of time. These guys definitely hoping for a yellow before tonight's over, to at least get a shot at the win. I mean, even back in that pack, you're still fighting just outside of a top 10 finish. As we head up to this lead pack here tonight, continuing to work together. Let's see if we got something here for you folks as cars continue to click down laps. These guys all very intelligent racers. That of course being they're not going to do anything put their race in jeopardy just yet. They're more worried about clicking down these laps, just making sure they bring the best car to about the last 10 laps or so. These guys probably aiming to that point to start working together, but it's a 4-2 car advantage in this front group for the race lead. Of course, the two piston broke drivers, and 4 wild man racing ones. So as we see this time by, we are on lap 50 of the 75. Coming up to that 2/3 mark. Next time by, we go into the countdown clock already. Yep, it will be 25 to go for playoff race number 2 of the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series. Of course, we got to thank all the other sponsors as well as Riptide Radio that make this series possible. Of course, BG Graphics for the Pole Award, Out of the Woods Crafts for Rookie of the Year. We'll keep you up to date on the Rookie of the Year points once that starts to get closer, because there's still 6 rounds after tonight. DTL Custom Graphcs, and of course Leaf Guard here, as now we head into the countdown clock here tonight as we get 25 to go at the line. 25 more times on around. We will crown a winner for playoff race number 2. As this season starts to think about wrapping up, if you want to join a part of the action, be sure to check them out at 802 iRacing on Facebook to check out their Facebook group and to keep up to date. If you want to be a part of the broadcaster racing and be a part of this great racing action, I tell you what, it is tough to put on these great racing and have as little yellows as they do, as we see group number 1, the first 6 cars all down on pit road, being led by the 62 of Zingen. Zingen down first, and the rest will follow. Same with group number 2. They're going to try and make up time here on pits. I like the call here, as this will be the final time these guys making a scheduled stop, besides, let's say, if they get a yellow flag. So some quick splashes and goes from most of the field here, as they will try and get up to speed as quickly as possible to try and catch those next guys on the apron. As we see that final group trying to stretch their fuel as far as they can. Dave Farella now takes over the point here, as half the field is pitted, half the field still has to come down. So Farella now leading the way here tonight. They will go around another time, and if I had to guess, we'll probably see them be down quite a few times. I should say I expect to see them do a couple more laps here around this place before we see them come down on pit road, as they want to try and hope a yellow flag falls at the right time, because they are not making up that much time on pit road that they need to. Christian Delgado leading this second pack here, currently running MP number 8. Only now Kenny Reel, only one car left of the Piston Broke group in this pack. Seems like the 62 machine falling back to the second pack here. Two cars way better than the rest of that second pack. Looks like that's a 4 of Guerin and the 16 of Ritter. So a lot playing out here, still a lot more to go as we still need to see the top 7 down on pit road sometime here before this checkered flag flies. There, of course, hoping that a yellow flag falls for the second time here tonight before they have to go down onto pit road, but so far clean and green as they continue to try and push these tanks almost to absolute dry. And with 20 to go, folks, you know what I say? I say it might be time for some turn 3 turn up. Unless if I jinx it and we see this 52 machine duck down on pit road this time. Looks like we will stay on out and I'll let some cars do the talking at the fastest track in Alabama. That is Talladega Super Speedway. You gotta love some great speed shots from the Talladega Super Speedway, as now we are 2 laps inside of 20 to go. It is 18 to go here tonight, as this first pack still needing to pit here tonight. Delgado's starting to catch this other pack, and that is going to help them separate from the third pack we have out here for Brandon Guerin, Steve Ritter, and the 62 machine. And Johnny Barker and Rob Lowell stuck by their lonesome. As we see Farella continuing to lead laps, continuing to click down, as now we get down to 17. The number 30 machine will go once again back to 2 laps down here tonight, so not the night that he wanted. He of course got stuck out of the draft early, and has not recovered. Hopefully he can catch the backside of maybe that second pack if he can get more up to speed from this first pack. As Delgado is here, he will go to the outside. Wiley will go up to block. So here we go, folks. A little bit of racing in this group. As Delgado's got to play it smart here. Does not want to see a yellow. Knows these guys in front of him have to pit. So has to kind of just play it safe, not be too aggressive, because right now those group of about 5 of them sit in the best spot here with 16 to go. So Delgado and Wiley working together very well. Here comes Wiley up to row number 2. Outside definitely has some momentum. You see Delgado all over the back bumper of that 13 machine. Now that forces the inside lane to tighten on up, get their momentum back, and here they go. They will pull a couple cars ahead of this outside lane here as Delgado will shoot Wiley to the middle. Inside of 15 to go. Delgado now leading the outside lane here as Wiley just about thought it there. Thought better of it. That could have been very bad here. As now Nick Larson looking to jump high. He will, looks like, think better of it now. We can see all these drivers on this inside lane thinking about jumping up, when they should do it, if they should do it. As Delgado getting up with side by side with Nate Catola in that number 5 machine. Still quite haven't broke to the front row just yet, as they come very close by the time those two dive it down into turn number 1. Now he's there. Delgado and Farella going to be drag racing down the backstretch here, as Farella going to get some help down this long straightaway. Same with Delgado. Now it comes down to who is the better pusher. Comes down to Real on the top side, Powell down low. As Delgado gets off of turn number 4 a little bit better, a little bit more momentum, but I'm sure he's waiting to at least get Real clear with him to go down low. Or maybe they all stick to the top side as they get all their friends clear before jumping down to this inside lane. They all get clear, but not time it right. Real and Ross, door bang, they hit some more as Kenny Real gets laid on out to dry with some contact. He will be able to slide behind the 47 as one car off the pace down the backstretch. That's the 43 machine of Coblin. That's not sure what happened there, as he has some big time damage to that left front here. You can see the left front broke there, and that final group coming on down, being led with AJ Cawthon, but a very, very tough break to Coblin. That's who will have to limp that car around. Kenny Real, the only car in this 4-car group not part of the alliance. That's why I think we saw Real get hung out to dry there when the rest of the teammates decided to move down together. So top 4 all by themselves. Delgado, Ross, Gervala, and Real all making up the top 4. Then Brandon Guerin, Steve Ritter, and Frank Zingen in this group, but they still have less cars than the 4-car leading group, so they still aren't going to be able to catch our leaders. The biggest group is going to be that group just rolling off of pit road. Cawthon with Farella, Larson, Powell in that group. It looks like some longer stops from Barefoot, Coletta, and Wiley. As everyone tries to get themselves sorted on out, but these top 4 drivers do not want to see a yellow flag before this is over. This time by, we go into single digits to go. That is right, folks. 9 laps to go for Christian Delgado. Delgado trying to put it all together in the playoffs. Came into tonight in P number 7. Would love to park it in victory lane for the first time this season. Right now, looking in one of the best shots for this 31 machine. Here leading the way, coming to 8 to go here tonight. Don't forget, folks, teamwork making the dream work. Delgado, Ross, Gervala, all part of Wildman Racing, sitting 1, 2, 3. Then Kenny Real, only driver in this group, not part of that, in that P number 4 spot, in that black number 24 machine. He's hoping to try and upset him. Everyone else on track, though, hoping for a yellow flag, because here is how spread out everyone is after those final pit stops here tonight. The question is, for these top 4, when do they turn it loose? When do they say, all right, teammates, we made it this far, it's time for every man for himself? Or do they work together till the very end? The playoffs have already started, but some extra points would go a long way. We have our points leader, John Ross, in second. Gervala hoping for a great race. Same with Delgado, as Delgado and Ross both in the playoffs. Gervala not so much, coming in here late this season, hoping to run for it next season. And he can put together how he started when I took over with broadcasting this series. I say he'll have a great shot at it. And then, of course, you can't forget second in points, Kenny Real. Real, of course, sent P number 4. Would love to at least beat that 44 machine by a couple spots here to put the pressure on our points leader. Only separated by 6 points and only 2 spots on track. As that time by, we get 6 to go. When do you pull the pin of this grenade? You only have 5.5 more laps, but you get that 1 car strung out to dry here. You lose this draft, your race is over in just a matter of seconds. See the pack go around the 13 of Wiley. Wiley stuck by himself, but if Kenny Real is smart, maybe he tries to work with Wiley to get a run on the rest of the guys and try and throw a wrench in here, so Wiley could come into a factor of pushing someone to a win here tonight. As that time by from the flag man, We get the open palm. That is right. 5 laps to go here tonight. Five to go, coming now to 4 to go. The driver's having a shot at the win tonight. Of course, our race leader, Christian Delgado. Second place, John Ross. Third, Joseph Garala. Then Kenny Reel, as Jason Wiley could be Kenny Reel's best friend after tonight. If they decide to work together, whoever may want to work with Jason Wiley, he could throw something in, as it looks like they might catch some more lap traffic, as Nate Catola and maybe Jeff Barefoot go a lap down, as they will go a lap down here, maybe affect some more lanes here at Momentum before we know it. But here we go at the stripe. 3 laps to go here at Talladega. Delgado has taken over point from that final pit stop, has not looked back. Ross has been on the back bumper, same with Gravalla. All of them working together very, very well. But now with some extra help, what will happen as we have now less than 3 laps to go? Just to add some extra to the race, of course, 2 attempts at a green-white checkered to wrap things on up if we get to that point. But right now, looking like clean and green. As this time by from the flag man, we see popsicle sticks up in the air. 2 long laps to go, especially if you're the driver of the 31 machine of Delgado. We're going to ride on board, looking back, see if we see any moves here with 2 laps to go, or if it's going to come down to a white flag pass. Delgado continuing to lead the way here, looking back at the rest of the top 4 here tonight. Looks like everyone's going to stay in line. It's going to come down to this white flag lap here. As this time by, we see the white felt. 1 more lap to go. Delgado looking for the first win of the season. I know he would be pumped up. Same with Gravalla. We've talked to him a little bit here, hoping for another time as they head down the backstretch for the final time. Gravalla with a big block on Reel. Reel will tuck on in. Johnny Barker facing the wrong direction on the backstretch as he will get that car rolling. Through 3 and 4, the field will come for the final time. Delgado and Ross. Reel able to get to the back bumper. 1 car hard in the outside wall. That's Jeff Barefoot. Here they come to the line. It's after the trial. It's Delgado leading the way over Ross. It's going to be photo finish. Delgado at the line. John Ross will finish second. Reel will get up to third. Gravalla will finish 4th. Now race for a top 5. That going to the 16 machine of Ritter. As the final group here will be racing to the line. Dave Farella in 8th in that 52 machine. Cawthon maybe trying to get around. All valuable points here in these playoffs. Farella will get loose. He will go high. He will cut low trying to save it. That moves Cawthon below the line. Cawthon and Farella goes around here. And AJ Powell will sneak through. Same with Larson. That was, oh man, we're going to have some tempers flaring before it is said and done. But here, back on the front stretch, Christian Delgado going to pick up the first win of the season here in the playoffs at Talladega. as Christian Delgado gonna burn it down here on the front stretch. Don't go anywhere, folks, because we'll be talking to our top three here. I tell you what, that is an impressive burnout for Delgado. Not getting a chance yet this season to do one. He goes out there and burns it down like a pro. As we'll be right back here after commercial break to talk to our top three. Don't go anywhere.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams, race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we come back here at Talladega Super Speedway for our post-race interviews from playoff race number 2. And starting off, we'll talk to our third place finisher, that being the 24 of Kenny Real. Kenny, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, I got a copy.
Alrighty, man. Well, the big question I gotta ask after this one, how difficult was it for you to be in that front pack with no teammates and pretty much no communication, just trying to fend for yourself there?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much impossible to do anything when you don't have a teammate or a buddy up there, especially when you got 3 teammates lined up and you're only one that's not a teammate up there. It's pretty much impossible to do anything. I end up at the end, Jason came back to help me, and I was gonna go up high on the backstretch. Joseph made a block, so I cut back underneath him. I wanted to go high so he couldn't side draft Jason, and that's what ended up happening. And from there, I really couldn't make a move.
Yeah, it just seems so hard to build momentum, especially with those smaller car counts there at the end. I was wondering how well you and Jason were gonna work together and what kind of thing you were scheming. So waiting until the white flag lap there and making the move on the back you're hoping for.
Yeah, I backed up a little bit in turn 1 to get a run, and I just timed it wrong. Gave him a little bit. I had a little bit too much space between me and his bumper, so he got enough time to come up and throw a block. It wasn't a bad block. It was a good, clean block. Wasn't nothing wrong with it, but it gave me time to, with the run I had at the time, to come underneath him. And from there, Jason was riding with me behind me, going to try to push me, but he ended up getting side drafted and just pulled back, and he had no car behind him to push him through the side draft. So from there on, it was just basically just riding. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it seemed very, very difficult to make some, let's say, momentum and keep it rolling, especially if you didn't have the car advantage number, let's say, and you were definitely fighting the uphill fight that whole last time. I mean, even when you guys caught those cars for position and even mistimed that move down, you and I forget who trading a little
John.
bit of paint. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I liked the. I was in a better position being in the middle of them. I still knew the move was going to come, whether it was last lap, lap before, or whatever. I just knew eventually it was going to come. I was just in a sandwich of teammates, and I was kind of. It was going in my head that they were gonna, he was gonna make that move when we got clear. I was just trying to count how many cars we had to clear, because if I make it too early, he stays up with his teammate. And then he backed off a little bit, got a run when his teammate behind him got clear, and he got underneath me. It frustrated me a little bit, so I kind of let him know about it. But it's all me and John are buddies, so it was just for fun. So it wasn't nothing to it. I mean, I knew the move was gonna be made, so it's just super speedway racing. At the end of the day, if you have teammates with you and you're up front, most likely you're going to win over someone that doesn't have a teammate up there with you.
Yep, and that is the reality of this super speedway, especially with these next gen cars. But Kenny, you and John Ross, 1-2 in points here. You, of course, third place last week, another third place, especially at a wild card like Talladega. That's got to feel pretty good that you and him still right there in points, and it's going to be interesting going to Watkins Glen next week.
Yeah, it's all around a good day. I was really looking forward to Dega. It's just unfortunate what happened with pit stops and team we had my team was 1, 2, 3, 4 for the longest for a while, and we were doing good. It just sucks being the leader takes up so much gas. It ended up costing Frank taking a longer pit stop, and some events on track kind of separated the packs, and it kind of just threw everything off. But at the end of the day, I'll take a third place finish. Kind of wish it'd have been a little bit better, but congrats to Christian for his first win of the season. He's been deserving of a win. He's always fast, and it's good and nice to see him get a win.
Yeah, that it is. Can't wait to talk to him later tonight. But yeah, Kenny, you said last week, looking forward to this race. Another podium. So, once again, a great job here, walking away with some great points and looking to the next round of the playoffs. But before we let you go, Kenny, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank here tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway.
I just want to give a shout out to my teammates over at Piston Broke, my team over at Bowie Esports. Give a shout out to BG Graphics, Riptide Radio, DTL Customs, all the admins for all the work they do for Lee, for putting on the broadcast, and just another shout out to Delgado for getting his first one.
Alrighty, Kenny. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you now. 2 weeks in a row of the playoffs. Hopefully, we can make it 3 after Watkins Glen, but we'll have to see how that race shakes out. Now, Kenny, have a great rest of the night, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Alrighty, folks, that was our third place finisher, Kenny Reel. Now we head to the runner-up finisher, one of the two teammates here finishing in the top 3. That, of course, being our points leader, John Ross. John, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
I copy you.
Alrighty, so coming into tonight with the points lead, a very up in the air race. Anything can happen, but you're able to walk away with the runner-up spot, one spot just shy, but going to a teammate, and you extended that points lead just a little bit more. John, tell us about your race.
I thought it went really well. It was pretty clean for the most part. I think there were a couple of spins and a couple, one caution, but it went fairly clean. We on that first green flag pit stop, we jumped out, and Kenny and Frank were with us, and obviously Kenny is a competitor of ours for the championship. So, and so was Frank. So we, the three of us were just thinking about what we need to do here, and Christian, Joseph, and Leroy and myself, we just talked about what we're going to do from a pit strategy. We were going to short pit. Really, when Steve Ritter called it out, we had about a 6 or 7 second gap between them. So we short pitted. We knew we needed to hop in with everybody else, and we had that group of cars that stayed out. And so when we come out of the pits, we were able to tag on to them. So we knew that group behind us, led by Steve and Brandon and those guys, we knew they weren't going to be able to catch us. So it just really boiled down to really the 5 of us, and I think Leroy got spun, and Kenny was in our group. So really, it was just getting Kenny to to lose as many positions as we can to secure as many points as we could here.
Yeah, that you guys did to perfection. I mean, how did you guys line up your pit stops so well here tonight, and how disciplined did you have to be down on pit road? Because we saw a lot of groups, break on up off of pit road, but each and every time, you guys down there making it work and sticking together till the end.
That's a great point. Yeah. So Brett, when we were talking about pitting, we practice pitting. So we didn't really run any laps as far as like qualifying laps or pace laps. During our practice, we qualified pitting, or we practiced pitting. So we were just practicing where we needed to brake. If somebody went high, where they needed to brake. If somebody went low, where they needed to brake. So we tried to coordinate that in the chat. That way, when we pit, we were able to get out together, because if you can get out together, you can start pushing immediately down the backstretch. If you wait and you're separated by 3, 4, 5 tenths, then you start to get this accordion effect, and it just slows your couple of lap times down, your out lap and that next lap, and that can really be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, and I would say that definitely was it here tonight, John. And as we got closer to that checkered flag, I mean, did working together as teammates ever go out the window, or was it going to be pushing Delgado to that finish here tonight?
No, it was always going to be pushing Christian to the win tonight. So our goal was obviously to not create a wreck in the Wildman crew. So whoever was going to be in the lead there was going to get pushed to the win. Like I said, I mean, we knew that we had Kenny in the group running with us. So ultimately, the goal was try to get him behind as many Wildman people as we could. But ultimately, I stuck on Christian's bumper. He knew that he didn't have to worry about me. We were going to push him to the win there.
Yeah, awesome teamwork done by you guys at Wildman to pick up the win and a 1-2 finish. But looking big picture, John, next week heading to the Glen. That's, tonight was a wild card. That one definitely going to be one. How do you feel about the road course racing?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, I like Watkins Glen. I've been doing quite a bit of road course racing. We ran the Sebring 12-hour Friday, so I enjoy it. I like it. I look forward to these. I think that the biggest goal is going to be, keeping the tires under you for the first couple laps until they warm up, and then pushing a little bit later. And you have to nail your pit stops, because if you get a 40-second penalty, or you have to come back in that next lap, it's really a killer. So nail the pit stops, and hit your marks, hit your braking marks, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a good one there. So, John, once again, huge congrats here tonight with the runner-up finish, but more importantly, keeping that points lead heading into Watkins Glen. So, before we let you go and celebrate here tonight, I assume with the teammate down in Victory Lane, once we wrap on up, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank, either on the car or watching at home.
Yeah, first of all, as always, Brad, we really appreciate what you do, man. We love the broadcast. Really appreciate that. The 802 series. Thanks, Rob, for putting it on. These things are really tough to run and to do, and Rob's put a really great group of admins together, and a good product out on the track. We were a little shaky in the beginning of the season, and man, he cleaned it up, and this is some fantastic racing. The sponsors for 802 is Riptide Radio, DTL Customs, PG Graphics, and Leaf Guard. And then last, fantastic job, Christian, man. Congratulations. He's won a couple of these plate races with us now. He's becoming the plate race king. So, I want to thank Leroy and Joseph, because again, all night, we were talking about the team strategy. So it was all about the Wildman crew tonight.
That it was. So, John, have yourself a great rest of the night, and I'm sure we won't be done talking to you before this playoffs are over. So, have a great one. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, folks, that was our runner-up finisher, John Ross. Now we head down to Victory Lane and talk to the man with the first win of the season. It is Christian Delgado. Christian, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Alrighty, how are you feeling? First win of the season couldn't come at a better time here in race number 2 of the playoffs.
No, man, I'm super elated. I was listening to John's interview right there, and he got it right on the dot. Just recently got another plate track win with these Wildman guys. So super happy that I can get my first win here. I've come so close to getting one here, and either got caught up in something out of my control or just gave it away on pit road or something. So finally super glad, super relieved to finally get my first one here for this season.
Yeah, it's got to feel great, and especially at a tough mental race like it is at Talladega. It's got to help, though, with those teammates. We heard a lot from John's interview. I'm sure you have the same remarks as staying together and what it took to have those great pit stops and be the leading group.
No, I definitely agree. I didn't even get my second qualifying lap, and so I actually started last. And on the start of the race, there was a huge shakeup in the back, and I actually lost the draft there. And that first caution that came out actually gave me a second life there. And yeah, after that, all of us Wildman guys kind of got grouped together. I think Leroy started in front of us, and we kind of decided to just kind of stick together. We did the pit strategy just right. And I honestly think the winning move for me is that I did get out in front of our little pack there, so they were kind of forced to push me up there. And then we were a little worried because we were catching some lap traffic, and we're scared that Kenny might have some other guys that might want to work with them. So we're actually trying to not catch back up to those guys, but ultimately we did. But luckily, like you had mentioned, John and Joseph were, on board to, help get me up there. Obviously, Joseph isn't in the playoffs. He came in here late, even though he's top 5 driver here. He just came in too late and wasn't eligible to run in the playoffs. But, John had already told me that, he's already leading the playoff points. All he needs is a good finish. And, it's always good to push a teammate to a win. And it feels even better when you get pushed to a win by a teammate. So,
oh yeah, Christian, it's got to feel good down in Victory Lane here tonight. And I tell you what, like you mentioned, how was the chatter about going around those lap cars? Because you don't want to wait too much time and not pass them, but also don't want to give Kenny too many friends, because if he had enough, it could have been anyone's race in a matter of a corner, let's say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And when we came out, we were kind of by ourselves. I think we had like a 12-second gap there to the pack behind us. And our goal was, when we first came out of the pits, is the guys who hadn't pit yet. We'd already gotten a 6-second lead. So when we actually came out of the pits, we came out about 2-3 seconds behind the cars who hadn't pit yet. So our goal, for me at least, and the Wildman guys, was to catch up to the back of those guys and kind of trap them. We didn't want them to get away and potentially, because they had quite a bit more cars than we did. We had like us 4 Wildman guys, and I think Kenny. So we wanted to get up to there and get those guys a lap down. And when they pit, it was just us 4, I think, because Leroy unfortunately got caught up in a wreck, I think, when they tried to pit.
Yep.
And we're actually trying to lag back to those 3. I think it was the 13 and a couple other guys, because we didn't want to catch them and give Kenny an opportunity to have someone to work with. And then they got broken apart. I don't know exactly what happened, but the 13 kind of got disconnected, and we caught him quick. So we kind of made a group decision to, okay, we have to we were kind of lagging back, trying to not catch them. And so we tried to catch Kenny off guard and just go full blast to try to get around those guys. But unfortunately, the 13 got with Kenny. I think Kenny even dropped back to grab him. But I guess unfortunate for Kenny, like it was a 3v2, and it looked like the 13 was having a little bit of a struggle, working with people. I tried to push him up the lead and almost wrecked him a couple times trying to push him. So, but yeah, after that, John had explicitly said like, hey, if you need to make the block, I'm not gonna race you for it because Kenny actually did have a pretty decent run on that last lap on the backstretch, and I think whoever was pushing him kind of left him out. And so after that, I knew that all I had to do was kind of keep my car going forward and get to the start finish line as soon as I could. I thought there was going to be a caution coming out because, I mean, there was a car backwards on the track. I don't know why that wasn't a caution, but luckily we got around that car just fine and got to the finish line in one piece.
Yep, that you did, Christian. Appreciate all the insight. And yeah, I think you guys took the white flag just before when Barker got spun around there on the back. But Christian, awesome job. Awesome talking to you in Victory Lane, man. It's got to feel great. But first time for me interviewing you, I love to ask first time interviewees, what's your sim setup like? What do you got out in front of you? What are you looking at? And of course, what kind of wheel and pedals?
Yeah, we have the Track Racer TR 180. We're partnered with Track Racer, so they've been a huge help. When I became partner, they actually sent out my bucket seat, the rally seat here. So huge support from them as well. But I run triples, triple 21-inch monitors, not the best, but we're trying to save up for something a little bit nicer. And then we have a fourth monitor to read chat and everything else. And then for our wheelbase, we have the for the pedals, we have the Club Sport V3s from Fanatec, and then we have the Fanatec CSL DD with just the wheel, the rim that came with the bundle. So, and then besides that, yeah, just my rally seat here. I have a couple of other devices for dash and stuff, but that's about it. Let's see. Just one moment. Yeah, Brad, if you say anything, I don't think I can hear you, buddy.
This time.
Yeah, I got you,
All
buddy.
right, there we go. So now I'll ask for you to, give a shout out here in Victory Lane from Talladega. Of course, give a shout out to maybe whoever's watching at home on the 31 machine. And of course, it looks like maybe even a Twitch shout out as well.
Yeah, definitely got to shout out first of all the Wildman guys. I also run in them in another league with Leroy and John. So got to give a huge shout out to those guys. Obviously really good teammates, pushing me out to my first win here in the 802 Cup Series. But also have to give a shout out to my sponsors: Track Racer, Butt Kicker, Bullet Dog Coffee Company, Steel Car Detailing, and High Velocity TV. Also have to give a shout out to Rob, the league owner. He does a heck of a job. As John had mentioned in his interview, that at the start of the season there were kind of some bumpy roads that we had to navigate through, but Rob did the necessary things to make the changes to make the league a little bit better. So got to give a huge shout out to Rob. I know he puts a lot of time in the background and setting everything up, trying to make this league run the best that he can. So thank you, Rob, for everything you do. Got to give a huge shout out to the league sponsors: Riptide Radio, DTL Customs, BG Graphics, and LeafGuard. Thank you to all those guys who help run the league, help give sponsorship. I know it's really hard to run a good league without having really good sponsors to help with that side of things. Have to give a huge shout out to the Bean team. thank you guys for everything you've done in my personal life, in my IRL racing stuff, and even with my iRacing career. Got to give a huge shout out to the fans over at twitch.tv/ChristianBoss13. I mean, you guys are the only reason I come out here and try to improve every day. But lastly, got to thank you, Brett, for the broadcast. You do a heck of a job putting on a show for the fans at home. And I know as a broadcaster myself how hard it is as a solo man to do a good job. And I always look forward after I get done watching racing to come back and watch the stream. So thank you for all you do. And I know everybody at home, everybody, all the drivers, I know Rob, they all appreciate what you do for us.
Alrighty, well, appreciate the kind words there, Christian. Once again, huge congrats on the first win this season, man. Go celebrate down in Victory Lane. I'll get wrapped up here in the booth, and I'll join you in the after party.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Alrighty, Christian. Catch you later.
Yep.
Alrighty, folks, from Victory Lane, that was Christian Delgado picking up the win here in playoff race number 2, and what a guy. That was a fun one. That was a fun post-race rundown with those drivers, and let's get you guys the full rundown and get you out of here at a decent time. Christian Delgado here tonight picking up the win. Then in second will be the 44 machine of John Ross. Then we have third place going to the 24 Kenny Rio. Joseph Carvalho in the 47 will finish fourth. Fifth going to the 16 of Steve Ritter. Sixth going to the 62 of Frank Zingen. Then the 4-car Brandon Guerin will finish seventh. Eighth going to Dalton Powell in the 51. Ninth is Nick Larson in the 82. Rounding out the top 10 is AJ Cawthon in the 25. 11th will be Dave Farella in the 52. Then the 13 car of Jason Wiley finishing 12th. 13th will be the 5 of Nate Coletta. 14th is Rob Lowell in the 21. 15th will go to Johnny Barker in the 6. 16th, the 43 of Leroy Cobbinets. 17th will be Jeff Barefoot in the 9. And rounding out the field tonight will be Ariba Canton in the number 30 machine. So, folks, that will do it here for playoff race number 2 of the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series. We, of course, got to thank all the sponsors making it possible. That, of course, being Riptide Radio, BG Graphics, Out of the Woods Crafts, Riptide Radio, DTL Custom Graphcs, and Leaf Guard. Of course, I got to give a huge shout out to our Turn 3 partner, that, of course, being Premier Setups. Be sure to check them out with the link in the description. Even if you don't want to buy anything, just at least click on our link, support us, support them, and just check out what they have to offer. Be sure to check out Turn 3 throughout the week, as we have a lot of great series and a lot of great broadcasters calling some of the best virtual racing on the iRacing simulator. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth. Have a great week, stay safe out there, and we will catch you next Sunday for Watkins Glen. This has been Brett the Jet in the booth with Turn 3 Racing Network, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.